I'm going to hit record for the moment just so that it captures whatever is going on.
Okay.
And one second.
I feel all crazy
There.
now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Cool. So how are you today?
I'm okay. I'm tired. It's Friday.
Tired on Friday?
It's been a rough morning already,
Oh, okay.
but I'm doing okay.
That's good. Ooh.
What, are you not tired on Fridays?
No, I just, well, I mean, I haven't been working like 9 to 5 for a little bit, so I've been able to do my own thing for a little while.
Well, I
And
don't
I
work
don't,
9 to 5, but I work 24/7.
what do you do?
So I run a supplemental health insurance and life agency, and I'm studying for my securities licenses. It's kind of crazy right now.
Got you. Is this, wait, so tell me about the first thing.
About my agency,
Yes. How long have you been doing that?
so for 5 years,
Okay.
we've recently expanded. For a long time, we only represented one carrier. Now we represent 5 carriers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a recent transition. I don't know if you remember my post when I executed, but that was when we decided to branch out and go full force, which has been an exciting adventure for the last probably 90 days.
Got you. And you said it's in supplements?
Like supplemental health, like accident, cancer, critical care type policy, and
Got
life
you. Okay.
insurance and financial planning stuff.
Gotcha. I'm not too familiar with the health space, so every time I hear something, I'm like, you have to explain that to me because I just don't know. Like I work in construction for the last 8 years and doing nuclear the last 3, and they have so many acronyms in there where you don't even know if they're talking about food or like something related to
Did you say
like
nuclear?
nuclear activity. Yeah, like a reactor.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
sounds dangerous and exciting.
Well, I mean, all I did was helping on the construction side for a new project that they're building out in East Georgia, and it is pretty exciting though. Like you said, it's been a while since they've done something like that in the U.S. Probably over 30 or 40 years since they had like the Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island accidents. Like,
don't blow us all up, please.
no, I'm not doing that anymore. But you're in good hands. Like most of the country runs on nuclear power, and most of the world does. It's not Homer at the controls, I promise.
Gotcha. So this podcast, and what are you doing now? It's obviously nowhere near related to construction.
Right. Well, I mean, in a way, the reason I wanted to start doing this was because of a lot of the people I talked with in construction, and they just did so much like thankless work as it relates to the public. Like you have guys working in like say the nuclear industry or guys in power and energy where they simply go out and I might need to move because this truck's coming around. But they literally go out and work in these remote areas where people don't really know about them, and they just do so much work that's unseen to the naked eye. But unless you've done that before and you know where to look for it, like you're like, oh, okay, like these guys are working the night shift, they're working the graveyard shift, they're working like you getting up 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and it's like they have so many interesting stories that come from all across the country. And I was just thinking, like, hey, why not talk to like the everyday person about what they do and kind of give them a platform to just share their thoughts, their background, things like that, and like highlight the quote unquote regular person, because it's like, I guess people talk about being average per se, but you have quote unquote average people that do extraordinary things, but nobody's going to your job and like, okay, here, let me film you with the camera. Like, what are you doing? Like, some of that stuff you can't do for safety reasons, and like other times it's like you just don't do that. Nobody's watching you. Like, get up, get your kids ready for work, or like, oh, good job, mom, good job, dad. Like, you're doing exactly what you should do. It's like, no, like, you just get critiqued on the things that don't work out. And the way the quote, I guess, the cultural environment, because I keep saying quote unquote because it's like everybody has ways of classifying things, and I'm like, when you step back and you look at it, it's really not all of what people make it out to be. It's not all that. Like, there's so much more nuance to it, but and then at the same time, sometimes it's not that nuance. It's just super simple. But I just feel like there's way too many things that get blown out of proportion. But seeing things like the Secret to Success podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, and just seeing like all these different varieties, especially with Joe Rogan's podcast, where he's talking with like more famous people, but a lot of people are like friends of his that are comedians, people that are in mixed martial arts, boxing, like people that are in his space. And I was like, okay, like I've met people before, like I'm in Breathe University, and like there's some pretty cool people in there. Like, why not talk to them, talk to the guys in construction, talk to the people I've gone to school and work with, and like anybody in between that I just happen to meet. Hey, like, what's up? Tell me your story. Like,
That's pretty cool. So that's what you're doing full time now?
Somewhat. I'm about to start work back full time. So I set it up at least to where this recording that we're doing, I'll probably put it out sometime next year to just keep up with the release schedule of one time a week. So I should be able to do this and hopefully find a way to monetize it on the back end. If it's just like selling a t-shirt to say, hey, like, remember that everything kind of starts with you, and not to say like, oh, give me money because like I need to do this, I want to quit my job. It's like, no, I like my job and I like where it takes me, the flexibility of it. But like, this is just something to say, okay, like I see everybody out here doing their entrepreneurial thing. Let me try something out. Like, let me do this, maybe get real estate to fund it, figuring out the coaching thing, but make everything work together and not try to be so like separate for myself.
Hold on, I lost you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how to turn the notifications off on my computer, and I hit the wrong button.
Gotcha.
My text message just keeps coming through. It's a little annoying.
Oh, wait, they're coming through your computer?
Mm-hmm. My watch, my phone, and my computer at the same time, so it's a little annoying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I try not to subscribe to that, where anytime I can like go to the settings and turn off the notifications, I just like, yeah, let me just turn it off, because otherwise it's going to be a free-for-all.
Well, that's why I have all Apple products, because they all communicate together. So it works for me, except for times like this that I've never done before. So
got you.
it's really not working for me right now.
Are they still blowing up?
No, it's fine. I mean, it'll never stop, actually.
Got you. It just means you're that busy, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. So usually one question I've been asking is like, I do my best to keep the conversation just like free form like this and not put too many boundaries on it. But I think this is the first time we're actually speaking for the first time. I don't know that we've met in person before. So I guess I should probably introduce myself. I'm Asher. I live in Georgia, and I've been doing construction for the past 8 years. Joined Breathe University back in 2016, and kind of been active on and off. But this year, I kind of got over a big hump and just decided, okay, the whole theme for the year is this execution. So let me do my best to actually execute on something that I wrote down, and part of that was starting the podcast back in October and just being consistent with it every day, either doing a recording a couple times a week or just having my morning routine right, and then following everything in between there. But that's a little bit about who I am.
Is it really bad that I've never even listened to a podcast before?
No, not really.
I mean, I watch YouTube videos, but I don't even know. So is a podcast just like talk radio, but not talk radio?
Essentially, I mean, all it really is like, I think it came from talk radio to where it's so versatile, where so many people are doing it. So different people have different viewpoints. But now, like with YouTube, you have Spotify, Apple, all the Android applications, SoundCloud. Like, since there's so many outlets to put information out there, people just put it out there. Like, some people do it on sports.
When you have a podcast, is it available like anywhere?
This one?
Like any podcast? Yeah.
Like if you go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I don't know which one it is, but if you just search on there for the podcast, like you are in Breathe University, right? I hope I'm not getting you mixed up. Okay. Because I was like, got you. Because do you listen to theirs, The Secret to Success?
No.
Oh, you're missing out. Like, you're really missing out. They're up to episode 203 as of yesterday. They just put it out.
I don't think that there's an Eric Thomas video that I haven't watched on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've never listened to a podcast.
You definitely got to start with his podcast if you've already seen all the videos, because what the podcast gives you is essentially like all the nuances in between what they talk about. Because like the videos and stuff, it's usually like a sound bite every now and then, or like a clip of what it is. Sometimes there'll be longer videos with the stuff they put out. But with the podcast, it's been like CJ will have a topic that he wanted to bring to them and discuss, and they have different segments. He makes it fun to where you can have he has like this section says, am I tripping, or like talking about like, hey, am I tripping, or is this, or one's got to go. They say, okay, you've got these top three Michaels. You got Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Mike Tyson. Who's got to go? If you had to eliminate one, which one would you have? It's like, ooh, that's a tough one. So it's like they always try to teach you a lesson, like they do with the platform, which is to like inspire and uplift people. But he always tries to make it to where let's not just talk, but give people tangible steps that they can take action on. So that's kind of how theirs is structured. And then like the Joe Rogan podcast, it's more so giving, I would say, like he did a thing this year where a lot of politicians he invited on there, like Bernie Sanders, a lot of the up and coming politicians, to give them almost like a 3-hour platform or like time frame to just speak on what matters to them, to where instead of them being on a news station where they only have 2 minutes to explain their viewpoint, it's like, oh, here, like, let me just let you talk. And like he has this artist on there, I think he had Malcolm Gladwell on there. He's an author that I follow a little bit. And he was talking about a brand new book that he came out with. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, because it seemed very timely with what I'm doing. And his new book is called Talking to Strangers. And he's talking about like the nuance that people have in their conversations, dialogue, and just like explaining where a lot of misunderstanding comes in. And he highlights different stories that have come up in the news. And I think that's how his books are kind of laid out, where they're case by case. So you've got all kinds. If you want sports, crime stories, there's this cool one out of San Quentin Penitentiary. It's called ear hustle, which is basically like eavesdropping, and they're talking with inmates out of the San Quentin Penitentiary, and they kind of get different stories, and they've got music made by people that work in the lab there, and one of the co-hosts is like a volunteer, and the other co-host was an incarcerated inmate. He had like a 30-year life sentence, but he got out on early release, so now he's being able to do it on the outside, talking to people that have gotten out and what life is like for them, to where you actually, oh, okay, these are other people. They made mistakes, but many of them, they recognize their mistakes, and they're just talking to you like I'm talking to you right now.
Right. I'll have to get on the podcast train.
Just do one at a time, though. You don't want to OD.
I'm definitely gonna have to look into this.
Gotcha. So if I can ask you a quick question and take your time with it, but who do you say you are?
Say that again? It's like breaking
Who do you say you are? Oh,
what do you mean?
hang on, let me see. It might be however you take it, or however you, like when someone calls you by your name, or however you view yourself in the world, like who is that person to you?
I don't know how to answer this question. I will tell you that I'm really bad about talking about myself. I had to write a bio recently for a publication, and I was like, I asked my team to write it because I'm like, I don't know how to write my own bio, because I'll be like, I'm Tammy and my team is awesome. So that's a really loaded question. I think that I try not to sound very braggy.
Gotcha. Okay, so gotcha. Well, I mean, then let me simplify it then. Where are you from? Like, where were you born?
I was born in Ruther Glen, Virginia, which nobody knows where that is. It's halfway between DC and Richmond.
Okay.
I've lived here almost all my life. I lived in Florida for about 11 years, which was probably the best thing that I ever did, because that's where I experienced being an entrepreneur for the first time on complete accident. And since then, I've worked 2 jobs, and that's just not me. So people from this little small town that I'm from aren't very entrepreneurial. So I'm excited about the empire that I've built, and grateful for my time in Florida that taught me how to be an entrepreneur.
So you said from Virginia to Florida, or you grew up in Florida?
No, I grew up in Virginia. I was 21 when I moved to Florida.
Okay.
And I was there for 11 years before I moved back.
Gotcha.
I'm old. I know I don't look old, but I'm old.
It's all relative.
You're breaking up.
I am breaking up. I'm trying to move to where the service should be stable. I live up in the mountains of North Georgia, so the service can be kind of in and out from time to time.
I didn't know Georgia had mountains.
Oh yeah, in the north, especially northwest, northeast. The northeast, going into the Appalachians.
I knew you were Georgia from the 706 area code.
Gotcha.
Because Aflac headquarters is in Columbus, Georgia, and their area code is 706.
Right. I think 706 is one of those area codes that's just almost anywhere outside of Atlanta.
Got it.
Is this any better, or is it still kind of choppy?
it's weird because you'll be talking, but then your face will freeze, and then your voice will kind of break up, and then your
Okay.
voice will go back to normal.
Gotcha.
A little better.
Okay. I'm gonna find the stopping point right here, and then I should be able to do this right. I should have just kept it simple and stayed where I was, because I've been recording in like a basement room, and it's just got this crooked whiteboard that I put up on the wall because I didn't want to put up the other nail to hang it up straight, but I was using it to capture the light to kind of shine a light in the room. But I figured use what I got. Like they say, start where you are with what you have, for what you have is plenty.
Yep.
And
True. I saw some art this morning. I just recently built this office earlier this year. Back in February, we moved in. So this morning I was scrolling and looking for art to put in our big conference room.
right.
And there was this big piece of art, and it showed the garage where Amazon started and Google started and Apple started. And it, I kind of had flashbacks of like even my last 5 years, how much has grown and changed. And, I used to have to run my business from my kitchen table in my house that was 800 square feet. And now I have a brand new office that we just built that's 1,600 square feet. And I bought my dream house about 2 years ago, and it's like almost 6,000 square feet. And I have 2 offices, like, a home office and this office. And I mean, so I love looking back at where you start from and how you grow, because it's just all evidence of your hard work and blood, sweat, and tears.
Right. That's awesome. And I guess that's also the other reason why I feel like it's important to talk to a lot of people that don't get highlighted, or even people that people that don't necessarily get highlighted, because for all you know, your next door neighbor could be a millionaire or a billionaire, and there's a lot of people out there and we just don't know of them. And sometimes it's not always monetary that's important, but just seeing like what people value, and like you said, being able to come up from like having little to having a little bit more, and then you're able to value that and not just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that sucked back then, but now I'm good, I'm never going back there. It's like, no, maybe it wasn't the best, maybe it was, but hey, I remember where I came from.
Yep, I agree completely.
Cool. Is this better? Am I coming through better?
You're definitely not pixelated anymore. You
Okay,
looked a little funny for a while.
I'll have to see it on the replay. But the one thing I was trying to do over here is mess around with this microphone, because it's worked out pretty well. But one thing that I've noticed is that when I plug it in, if I don't have control of the system, it won't, like, I won't be able to hear you. And then it wants to be both a microphone and headphones at the same time. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and I'll figure it out a little bit later.
Okay. I wouldn't know any different. I told you, I've never done this before anyways. Even if my son FaceTimes me, he lives in Texas. He's in the military.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You approve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my agents. Y'all want to say hi?
Hello.
His name is Asher. That's Elizabeth and Tanya.
Hi.
Hey, guys.
Oh, Mila.
Mila, come here.
Mila, you want to say hi?
It's a pretty nice office.
Hi, Mila.
She's actually the boss. Mila's the boss.
She's the boss. We all work for the boss.
Gotcha.
If I did this on my phone, I would tour the office, and you can see.
Gotcha.
We have a pretty cool space. It's like the whole back of it looks like a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's all exposed. It's pretty cool.
Gotcha. So do you guys like carry merchandise out of there, or how does that work out?
We
No.
don't even need, I mean, essentially, we don't need to have an office. So there was this time a couple years ago that my CPA said, you need more write-offs, you need more write-offs, you need more write-offs.
Yeah.
And so our first office was really scary to sign a lease. And I was like, telling some of my people, I'm like, there was a time that I couldn't afford to pay this amount in rent for a house that I lived in.
Right. Right.
How am I going to sign this lease for like a second space that we don't have to have?
Right.
But it's a leap of faith. Everything's a leap of faith. So no, we don't. We're hardly ever here except for Tanya. She's my. She's got a big, long, fancy title. What's your title? Director of Marketing and Public Relations.
Yeah.
Because one day we're going to be huge. So
Yeah.
we'll give her a worthy title.
Gotcha.
Tanya's here. The rest of us, we're kind of everywhere. I mean, we can't make money sitting here. So we do mainly worksite benefits. So we go to businesses and we offer benefits to their employees.
Okay.
So we're never in the office. This is just a hangout spot.
That's a pretty cool hangout spot.
A place to hang our plaques and hold meetings.
Yeah.
Shit.
I like that. So is it just the three of you guys, or?
No, so Damon and Jabari will probably roll in here in a little while. On Friday afternoons, I have my staff meeting, team meeting. We call it our fam meeting.
Yeah.
We say we're a family, but it's Friday afternoon meeting.
Right.
We just call it the fam.
Got it. Got it.
Super cute, right?
Yeah. Nice. So
on
how
Friday,
long?
usually here.
Okay, gotcha. How long did it take you to? I know you said you like started your business and then to where you were doing it out of your kitchen, and now you have like 2 office spaces. Like what period of time was that, or can you walk me through that process a little bit?
I got into the business in October of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I had been in a really bad accident in 2012. This accident, I was working just a regular job, but I was driving home on a Wednesday afternoon, bright, sunny, beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And a deputy ran a stop sign and drove into my driver's side. I did not have supplemental health benefits. I had government employee major medical. I thought I was set. I didn't need anything else. Mm-hmm. The out-of-pocket medical expenses over the course of a year and a half was over $38,000.
Wow.
Destroyed my credit, caused a divorce. I mean, it was pretty much what I felt like was the ugliest time in my life. I definitely didn't come from a lot, but I've always worked really hard to provide a better life for my kids. So this was a hard time. So when I left my husband and had to find a place to live, I got this little scary shack, as I call it. That 800 square feet I was telling you was pretty small. But finally I got a settlement. I was doing mortgage foreclosures at the time. Remember, I told you I ran a business in Florida. When I came back, I had to work just a job. And I hated what I was doing. It was miserable. I mean, I hate telling people, I'm sorry you're dying, but if you don't make your mortgage payment, I'm going to take your house from you. It's like no fun. So when I got my settlement, it gave me kind of the financial freedom to walk away from my job and go find something else that, I could feel like I was serving a purpose. Never had I imagined myself as an insurance agent. I mean, when you see insurance agents, they don't look like me. I mean, I'm covered in tattoos. I'm just like, a regular person. But, insurance people are in suits and they're just not me, right? So when I got this email to go interview for Aflac. I knew what Aflac was, and then
Right.
had I had it, I probably wouldn't have gone through what I went through. So I went to the interview and I decided I needed to do this because I needed to make sure that nobody that I knew ever went through what I went through.
Right.
So I got in the business October 2014. It was 6 weeks left of the year. In that 6 weeks, I think I broke every record for a new agent ever. And carried that into 2015. The fourth quarter, 2015, I was promoted. At that time, Elizabeth, the blonde that you saw,
Right.
kind of been partnered with me just to teach her the way. And her loyalty is definitely never wavered. So we kind of started this together, I would say, and I got promoted. We have went through a lot of agents over the years. I mean, people just aren't cut for being an entrepreneur. It has nothing to do with insurance. It has everything to do with you got to get up and go work to make a paycheck,
Right.
like really work. So over the years, we've kind of kept a couple people that, just fit the mold. In 2016, in February 2016, we rented the first office space. And then February of this year, our construction for our new office was completed. On the Aflac side of things, I probably have 30 agents that report to me. Over the summer, we were all kind of feeling, well, my core group, we were feeling a little frustrated with, we'd lost some customers to other carriers. And we just got to a point where we didn't want to be a carrier rep anymore. We wanted to be a rep for our people. So
Right.
if we expanded our offerings, we could keep our clients and then just provide them whatever was best for them. That transition has been a transition. The implementation phase is definitely longer than we anticipated. So we've spent a lot more time learning and building a website, and all these things kind of just happened overnight. So that's where we are today.
Nice. That's a great story. And what's the difference between, you said, supplemental insurance versus like federal insurance?
So major medical insurance, like your United Healthcare, whatever pays the doctors and hospitals.
Yeah.
There's gaps in those coverages when something catastrophic especially happens.
Right.
People don't realize that, there's so much out-of-pocket expense. They think just copays and deductibles, but
Right.
I was on nerve medication that cost over $400 a month that wasn't even covered by my insurance, and I had to take it.
Right.
There's also, fine print that says, the annual max is this amount for this kind of service and all of these things. And there's like network and out of network. So all of those things, the major medicals only pay in the doctors and hospitals. You got to pay the difference. And if you don't have a supplemental benefit that pays cash directly to you, it can cause some serious financial devastation.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Like,
that sounds pretty serious. But I mean, that also makes sense because like you said, you weren't expecting I guess you said a deputy of all people to run through a stop sign and just T-bone you on your side of the car. It's like you didn't have anything to do with that. And I guess for me personally, I've had kind of like my drawbacks with insurance in the past because I know you have to do it because in some cases it's mandatory, but a lot of times I felt like since I didn't really understand it, I was like, well, I'm healthy. Like, why am I paying for something that might never happen? And it's
and that's the other difference between major medical and supplemental benefits. I can tell you, I was insured when I was in that car accident, and when I left that job and was on my own, I would have had to get major medical on my own. So I didn't have it for 4 years. And when you self-pay, a lot of times you're in a better position than somebody that has insurance because they're negotiating with you and putting you on payment plans. But whether
Right.
you have insurance, major medical insurance, or
Right.
not, supplemental benefits are important because at the end of the day, we all work to make money to pay bills.
Right.
And we got to make sure that we can feed our kids and pay the house payment and keep the lights on. And supplemental benefits give you the cash to spend however you need to. So whether it's to pay bills or absorb medical expenses, I mean, that's why we do what we do. So it's very fulfilling what we do, and even more so now because we're not a rep for Aflac and that's it.
Yeah.
We're a rep for our people, and we can put them with the plans that work best for them.
Okay.
So
And with that, do you? I just want to make sure I'm understanding you right. So, does the major medical insurance go hand in hand with something like an HSA plan, like a health savings account plan, where you can roll over money and use that money for like specifically?
So it is
medical expenses?
annual. So like an HSA has annual caps of like $2,700 for a family.
Right.
$2,700 when you have a $6,000 family deductible doesn't touch that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, even HSAs, FSAs, they're great, but they're not going to help, my customer who's on, year 4 of her cancer treatment, and her cancer policy has paid her cash over $500,000. So FSAs and HSAs are great, but they still don't come close to the amount of dollars that a supplemental benefit pays in the event of these catastrophic situations.
Gotcha. Wow. That's a great point. I feel like I've learned more about insurance within the last year than I've ever known before, because like you just telling me this, I'm sitting there thinking I may need to call you up afterwards and sign up for it. And I was talking with a friend, I think either last year, looking into life insurance as it relates to being able to set up like a family bank in a way that you could contribute to it like a savings account, and then it would actually grow more than like the tenth of a percent than what you get in a standard savings account now. I think when I was maybe in like middle school, like I was probably like early 2000s, like 2001, 2002, like you would learn about money and it's like, oh, you put it in the savings account and it's supposed to like grow you 5% or something. You're like, oh, wow. And then I grow up, I grow up to like 2007. I think by that point, I just got to the point where I could have my own bank account with Wachovia at the time, now Wells Fargo. And I go in there and I set up like a checking account. It's like, do you want a savings account? Sure. And then I start watching it because I'm getting ready to go to college. And I'm like, I got to save up because nobody's going to help me get to college. Like the federal government might help me with the stipend, or I might get like the Hope Scholarship is what we've got in Georgia to like support you. But I just kept looking at that savings account and it's like I haven't done anything with it until maybe present day, to where I'm actually looking into like, okay, how do you invest? How do you do this? And like when I go in there, they ask me these silly questions like, oh, would you like to like upgrade your savings account or do this with it? I'm like, did you just tell me that with a straight face? Like, with all the information we know right now, you think I'm going to come here and just open the savings account for what? So that you can take my money and just lend it out to whoever you want to lend it to, get like a 12 to 20% return on it. I don't see any of that return. And then you're just going to sit there and smile in my face and just be like, oh, would you like to set up an account? I'm like, I'm not mad at you. I know you're doing your job, but you guys need to figure that out, or all of you are going to go out of business, because you have up and coming services that provide better opportunities.
Well, I hope this means you got the whole life policy that you're earning some dividends on and really growing some money.
Right.
You did?
Wait, say that again?
Did you get a whole life policy? from the
No,
person?
not yet. Not yet. I need to do
Well, you
that.
need to hurry up and do that. I
Yeah.
mean, the growth on that, especially if you get a dividend-based whole life policy, like we do Mass Mutual.
Is that something you do?
Mhm.
Okay, I definitely need to talk with you offline.
You can get 12% return. I mean, like the interest on those things, the dividends is crazy and the growth is insane. It's definitely the best place to put your money if you're trying to take a certain dollar amount every month and put it somewhere.
Right.
Whole life policy that builds cash value is where it's at.
Gotcha. Wow.
And you're still a baby, so
Yeah.
you definitely need to get one now.
Right.
Because if you look at, we do this one policy that's called a 10 pay. So you only pay for it for 10 years.
Yeah.
The dividends continue to pay forever. And the cash value that grows on those things, I mean, you could buy a policy that's face value $250 and in X number of years, you've got $1 million
Right.
of cash.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty insane.
Got you. And I mean, in both of those cases, is that something that the other thing that's always been like a hindrance to kind of invest is that, okay, if you want to invest, whether it's 10% or 20% of what you make, like a lot of times with like a 401k or like an IRA, there's limitations to it where you can't touch that money until you're like 65.
And you have penalties, and you don't. First of all, these pay higher. You get a higher return in those whole life policies than you do on a 401k or an IRA.
Right.
And there's no penalties like
Gotcha.
there is on an IRA in a 401k.
Gotcha. So it sounds like I need to get this policy and the other one. Can you repeat them again one more time just so that I get it? And then whoever listens to this later will just get it and they're like, okay, I need to go and meet with such and such person, call up Tammy, figure out what to do, and then go from there.
So the supplemental side is like accident, cancer, and critical care. Like those are the major catastrophes that can ruin anybody.
Right.
And then a whole life insurance policy through a mutual company like Mass Mutual that pays dividends. Those are the things we need.
Got it. And I'm so glad I got a chance to talk with you today.
I'm pretty sure that's not what we were supposed to talk about, but I'm glad.
What were we supposed to talk about?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's
I don't even remember what the post was, right? It was something about, I don't know. I think I brought up gratitude.
Oh, got you.
What the post was.
So, I mean, how do you view gratitude then?
I mean, gratitude is everything. We wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for gratitude. I mean, I wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for my gratitude for my people. We wouldn't have the size business that we've built if it wasn't for our gratitude for our customers. I mean, we've built this entire empire, as we like to call it, off of referrals, which is, you wouldn't get them if people didn't know that you appreciated them and, you obviously good service, but I mean, gratitude is definitely everything. I mean, we're the handwritten cards type gratitude.
I like that. And I mean, has that always been something that you've experienced in your life, like being grateful and practicing gratitude?
I mean,
or is that something new to you?
No, because I mean, you've got to be grateful for everything. You've even got to be grateful, and my team will probably tell you that, this is what I preach all the time, but you've even got to be grateful for the obstacles because, that accident that I felt like at that time, was ruining my life. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be exactly where I am right now talking to you.
Right.
So you've got to be grateful for everything, good, bad, and indifferent. Just because, I mean, first of all, somebody has it worse.
Yeah.
And, everything that you get to experience in life is a blessing. So you have to be grateful.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. And I subscribe to that thought process 100% because just this year doing a lot of self-assessing, journaling, just reflecting, but then also writing down what I'm reflecting on and then taking actions towards things that I want to get better at or actually achieve. It's like, okay, like I'm grateful that I went through, say, like a storm of depression or just like a period where the whole world felt like it was just going to fall apart. And then just to be on a call and just be like, okay, like it's cloudy out, but I'm not going to let the weather or the environment dictate my mood. I'm going to go intentionally and just jump in the car, even if like the audio might be off or whatnot. It's like, no, I'm going to jump in the car because I know I want to be in Atlanta by like 5, but if I can be on the road earlier and even get there and just go explore, just like be in motion, because I know that if I pay attention to what the weather is doing and I start to get down or get around people or listen to something that's like low, like you turn into like the emo teenager in high school where it's just like you're all like, I never did that, but it's like you kind of go back to that mind state where it's like, okay, what music was I listening to and why? And it's just like, I never thought about it back then, but it's that you kind of become a reflection of your own environment. But then getting around people like yourself and Breeze University, it's like, oh, like this energy is contagious. And especially when you stay in it, like as things go from bad to worse or from good to great, like staying in that environment where other people are going through their stuff, like you pick people up when they're down. And then when you're down and you think you're about to check out, like people just kind of come up out of the woodworks and they're like, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on? You're not being yourself. Like, I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday and he's just like, what's up, happy? Because my name is Asher and it means happy. That's literally the definition of it. And it's like, you're kind of being a liar to yourself if you're not being happy, because that's literally what you're called. And it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of weird to be a depressed, happy person. That's like an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, yeah, I've got to fix that. And yeah, it's just like you said, gratitude. It just seems like it's everything. And I'm grateful to a friend that put me on the Panda Planner. Have you ever heard of that? I think I might have it here on me. But essentially, it's like, it's a weekly, monthly, and daily journal where it's like, essentially, here's what a day looks like. I don't know if you can see that, but up here, every day, it has you write down 3 things you're grateful for.
I need a panda.
I'll see if I can send you one, or I'll send you one of these codes where you can get it for free. But if you just go like pandaplanner.com, it like every morning it encourages you to write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things you're excited about. You write out an affirmation, a focus, an exercise, the day's priorities, and then on the next page you have like a schedule period from like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can list out your tasks to like check them off if you want. And at the end of you got it. Look at you, right on it.
I don't play. My people tell you I don't play. I mean, I'm all about, I do like a gratitude journal. I like this because this is like a structure. It's like pages. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the thing that impressed me about it, at first I didn't want to hear it because I was just like always getting information from this person. I was like, I haven't done the last 3 things you've told me. Like, why do I need to do this? But then when I saw that it could help me bring everything together. I was like, okay. And the person that developed it, he had Lyme's disease, and he had short-term memory loss where he literally couldn't remember what he was doing, like from 1 hour to the next, or from one day, or literally 1 week to week, or month to month. So he literally set it up to where he'll start the month like this, where you've got 3 goals that you set for the month, and then you write out 3 distractions you're going to avoid for that month to help you with your goals. And then the focus that he would write is the same focus that you write down every single day. So once you write it for the month, you don't have to think about it. You just flip the page and you literally copy and paste what you're writing. And then if you want to form a habit, you can list that there and then check it off each time you do it. And then literally at the end, what works for every day, every month, and every week is that he reviews the wins for the month, and then he looks at the insights gained. And it's just like keeping it simple to 3. And the best way that he's able to do that is that literally every single day you have like a daily review that says that 2 days, like, I'm trying to find a blank page. I don't want to put too much of my business out there. But anyways, this isn't a blank page, but like this one's talking about like 3 wins that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you write those 3 wins, the focus is like, it's supposed to make you focus on the positive or kind of change the way that you think. And then instead of saying like, oh, what did I do wrong? The last question it asks is like, how will you, and how I'll improve. And you just write the little statement there. And at the end of the week, what you're able to do is that you review the previous week, and like you list 5 big wins. So if you write 3 wins for every single day out of 7 days, I think that's 21. So from like 21 items, you pick the top 5 that you feel matter to you. And then from those 5 or 15 that you narrowed it down to, you pick 3 for the month. That's like, okay. And I think people have used this to maybe like write books or kind of like recall a lot of their memories, because it's like, I think E said it, like, write it down. People forget, paper remembers. And I was like, I started it in 2017 and I was heavy on it like every single day. And then I kind of fell off for a bit, and I felt bad about it because I was like, oh man, like how could I be so dumb? I let somebody else talk me into it or make fun of me for like being all like meticulous or whatnot. But I was like, you know what? I still have the planner. I've got 4 of these, like 2 I didn't really fill out all the way. So I went through and I tabbed it instead of ordering another blank one. I was like, let me just finish up the year in here. And then when the new year starts, if I need to get a new planner, I'll get a new planner and just fill it out and stop trying to make everything so like cookie cutter structure. Just like use it. If I forget one day, hey, I forgot. Either go back and fill in the wins or just do the next day and keep it moving.
Right. Well,
But-
mine will be here tomorrow.
What's that?
I said mine will be here tomorrow.
Nice. I think I may go ahead and order one now so that I don't forget once the new year starts, because depending on where I'm at, I don't want to miss out.
So I ordered the non-dated version so I could start now.
Oh, nice. Oh, they have a dated version?
So it looks like they have a dated and a non-dated. So the one I ordered is non-dated.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I've been using. You just fill in the dates as you go.
Yeah, they do have a dated version that was cheaper,
Got you.
but I didn't want to, because it's like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And I don't like a half blank book, so.
Right. No, you're doing it right, because I think the way it's set up is that it's set up really for 90 days. So like 3 months is what the planner should fill up, but he'll give you 6 months where you can write out a 6-month like monthly calendar. and you
Mhm.
can kind of plan that out so that by the time you get halfway through, you switch planners and you can copy your stuff over if you want to. But it's been a handy little tool, and just kind of like we were talking about gratitude, remembering the things that matter and the things that work. I was like, oh yeah, let me dust this off. I haven't used it, and as I'm going through the dates now and seeing where I kind of dropped off, it's like really this year.
You broke up. I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, I had a call come in for a second, but I'll call them right back. I was saying, like just remembering how important gratitude is. It encouraged me to go back and pick up the planner I didn't use since last year. And as I'm going in between the dates that I missed, like I'm literally seeing that this time last year I was using it. And at some point in time, I can almost pinpoint to the date when I fell off my routine altogether and when things just kind of went off the rails. So as I'm doing the self-assessing and actually taking the time to go back and read what I wrote, I can see, oh, this, like, I remember what happened then. Like, yeah, this
The other
it
part that is
kind
cool,
of fell apart.
as
What's
you
that?
I said, what's really cool about journaling it and writing it all down is, when you write a goal and you look back a year, 2 years later, and you've achieved that goal. And if you write down like your regular goals and your wild ass goals, and you've
Yeah,
achieved wild ass goals, it's like so exciting.
right. It's funny. Somebody said it to me when I first joined BU, and I think I didn't get active. Like I joined in September or October of 2016, and I didn't really get active or jump on the calls or anything like that until November, December. And like by the end of December, I joined two other people that were forming an accountability group, and like we started talking about goals and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do this, and I just kept like trying to put things out there softly, and then one day they both called me out on it. They're like, it's like, okay, so you went to school, you seem like you're smart, and you're saying that you're gonna be taking this test, like, what's your BHAG? And it's like the big, hairy, audacious goal, I think is how they what the
Never
acronym stands for.
heard the acronym, but I like it.
Yeah, but it's like, what's your big audacious goal? Maybe Harry, I made that part up, but sorry. But it's like, what's that thing that's gonna scare you so much? And I was like, I hadn't really thought of it. And then finally, when I wrote it down, I was like, this is the thing that just seems impossible. And like, I kind of got fixated on that, but more so recently, I was like, I put it kind of towards the back burner because I was like, the more I keep saying that, like, I have to force myself to do this, like, it's not going to work. But the more I do what I need to do to make it work and just kind of like do my part, it's like, oh, okay, like things are coming together, like unknowingly. Like my goal was to communicate effectively with my family. And it's like every time I tried to like force the communication to where it's like, okay, I'm going to call every week, I'm going to do this, is like, I would just make myself more and more frustrated because I was gung-ho about it, but everybody else wasn't privy to the goal of like, oh, okay, what are we doing now? Like, you're switching up, you're trying to be what you weren't. Like, I don't know you as this person. Like, you almost seem like an imposter. And then that's where I had to be like, okay, maybe I need to pump the brakes a little bit and kind of like focus on communicating with myself first, and then I can learn to communicate with somebody else.
I
I
agree.
feel like I'm doing a lot of talking.
That's okay. It's your podcast. Aren't you supposed to be the one talking?
Well, I mean,
Accountability is important, but what I drive it back to tell my people all the time is you have to know your why. Like, you have to know why you're doing it.
right.
And writing it down. And I can tell you, especially me and Elizabeth, I mean, I have my original why that I wrote down in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Has her original why from, when she started in 2015. And I mean, staying in touch with that why, on the worst days, like right now, it's really pouring down rain and the sunroof in my Jag is open and I'm really upset right now, but
you want to go close it?
no, because it's really pouring down rain.
Oh, got you.
I'm sitting here thinking, it's just water. It'll dry. It'll be okay. But I mean, knowing your why keeps you going, even when you don't want to keep going.
Right.
Being grateful for everything makes it that much easier. And I personally believe in the law of attraction. So, the more good you put in the world, the more good comes back. So, I mean, all of that comes back to gratitude.
Makes sense. Cool. Well, I won't keep you if you've got to run, but this has definitely been a great conversation, and I'd definitely like to do this again.
It has been. I'm here. You know how to get me. Fridays are definitely best.
Nice.
Especially rainy Fridays.
So what's on the agenda for the rest of the day?
Being grateful that I'm in my office on Fridays and I'm not driving the streets right now.
Nice.
So I don't know what I have right now, but our FAM starts at 1:00. So
Okay.
not very much time between now and then.
Gotcha. Well, you got an hour, a little less than an hour, or 2 hours.
Yeah, it's 11. So I got some time. But it was a great conversation and definitely down to do it more.
Gotcha. Well, once I get this uploaded, I'll put it up on YouTube, like unlisted. That way I can send it to you easily, and you can review it unedited. Let me know if you'd like me to edit anything, put anything in your bio or the description, and you'll have your first featured podcast.
Yay. All right. Thank you. Be careful out there.
I will. Take care.
See you soon.